Hey everybody, ronarray here, and I've been exploring different options for my nuke wave monk build for some time. So in this video, I want to showcase all the changes that I made and how you can improve your build together with me. The main change being dropping Polysecond Ring completely and going for double Herald setup, while improving the damage and making the clear even better. I'm going to showcase all my gems and items, showing what you will need to do to get the same results and what you will need to change too. Let's go! So first off, I'm going to quickly explain the changes. Before that, we've been using Polysecond Ring to shatter enemies which are chilled. That way we just need to chill enemies and after that we can immediately shatter them. When we are shattering enemies, we've been triggering Herald of Ice to just nuke the whole screen with one big click. However, since Polysecond is not really a very effective ring, it's a great idea to replace it with a rare ring instead, since we can stack more rarity and more damage in that way. So what we will need to do to drop the ring completely but still have the nuke? For that we are going to use a double Herald setup, and I tried to adapt it as good as possible to make the build effective. Right now we will need Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice all together. For Herald of Ice, make sure that you have quality, and supports are going to be Lightning Infusion, Magnified Effect, Conduction and Innervate. Innervate is working pretty good for it, because we are going to kill shocked enemies pretty often. Conduction is here to make sure that we are shocking. Magnified Effect will give us AoE, and Lightning Infusion is just great by itself because it's going to improve our lightning damage. My current damage from Herald of Ice is approximately like that. We have a pretty decent lightning setup here and it will shock pretty often. If you don't have enough sockets, you can drop Innervate completely, but for 4 I think it's a pretty great choice. And we also will need Herald of Thunder, together with Cold Infusion, Long Shot, Glaciation and Ice Bite. The same fashion here, we have much more cold damage, even if we still have more lightning. And all of that together, we can drop Ice Bite completely if you don't have 4 links, but Glaciation, Long Shot and Cold Infusion is absolutely mandatory for that setup to work. So currently I also recommend to add quality to Herald of Thunder too, mostly to get additional attack buffs. So how it's working? Generally we are shocking enemies with Storm Wave right now. That proccing Herald of Thunder, and Herald of Thunder is freezing enemies, which is proccing Herald of Ice. Herald of Ice creating a chain reaction and they're just proccing each other, and you're nuking the whole screen in the very same fashion like we had it with Polysecond Ring. So what is necessary for that setup to work? On top of just Heralds, I recommend to change the tree accordingly as well. First off, for effectiveness, I recommend to take Thin Ice and Heavy Frost. It's going to increase our freeze buildup, and since freeze buildup is going to be higher, it will be significantly easier to freeze enemies with our Herald of Thunder and create a chain reaction. After that, I also recommend to go for one with the River right now. It will give us increased defenses, which is pretty nice, and we're going to get additional energy shield, but it's also going to give freeze buildup as well. It's 20% here, 20 here and 30 at the end, leading us to 70% of freeze buildup, and I think it's helping a lot with proccing double Herald setup. The rest of the setup stays the same, we're not really changing a lot. You will still need Essence of the Mountain, and I'm still running I'm the Blizzard together with I'm the Thunder, since I'm mostly mapping. For bossing, I recommend to replace I'm the Thunder with I Shall Rage for Unbound Avatar, because Unbound Avatar is just absolutely insane for bossing. I also got a new weapon, and since my new weapon is very good right now, it has almost no bad stats, so everything here is good, I have higher critical hit chance. In that case, I also dropped Careful Assassin, but I still recommend to play it in the most cases. So if you don't have critical hit chance on your weapon, I recommend to keep it. And to keep it, you will probably need to exchange a few points here from critical damage bonus, or that one for Heavy Frost. Don't be afraid, just replace it. And I'm currently running Maiming Strike, so if you don't have enough points, dropping Maiming Strike or just replacing Careful Assassin with Maiming Strike is a pretty great idea. For Storm Wave, I'm still running the same set, so I have about 50% of critical hit chance, is 49.37, and it's currently enough. So together with Ambush, it's going to lead us to a pretty often critical hit strikes. I'm also using Upheaval, Primal Armament, Martial Tempo and Heft, since I'm mostly mapping. If you're doing some bossy, Martial Tempo should go to Tempest Flurry instead, and I would just recommend to exchange it. Heft right now is a pretty nice option, so as you can see, it provides a very significant damage bonus for me, but very important point here, that Heft gives additional cost multiplier to the skill. So if you have issues with mana, you will probably need to get more mana regeneration on different items. But since we can drop Pulse Cannon and we can use a rare ring, you can literally roll mana on that ring. The rest of the tree is pretty much staying the same. I'm still playing CI, I'm still playing Eternal Youth, and most of the passives are pretty much the same as it's been before. I also want to remind all of you guys that to avoid getting stunned, we need to roll jewels with 10% maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold. It's helping a lot against random stuns, and I recommend to have like 3 of those jewels as a minimum, and usually if you can push to 5 or 6, it's going to feel even better. Talking about the rest of the setup, I recommend to use Green Fist because Green Fist provides a lot of survivability while mapping and doing breaches. Blink is also absolutely mandatory. If you have enough spirit, running Precision right here is a pretty nice idea. But if you don't have it, you can drop Precision and just run Clarity and Ingenuity. Tempest Bell is very important for additional damage for bossing. Even if you're not bossing that often, I still recommend to have it. Support should be Close Combat, Overabundance, Concentrated and Heavy Swing. Heavy Swing is not really that effective, but we don't have a lot of support options, and I think it should work just fine here. For Tempest Flurry, I'm running Electrocute, Practice Combo, Rage and Crescendo. If you're going to boss more often, I recommend to replace Martial Tempo instead of Crescendo because it could help a lot. So that's the current gem setup, when the most important part is Heralds, and those are going to help a lot. Talking about items, I'm currently running Warrior Invictus, but you can run Body Armor just with a lot of Energy Shield, because with the current setup we have about 241 rarity, so with Warrior Invictus it's 341. It could be a little too much, because rarity has diminishing returns and it's not really giving a lot of bonuses after 200%, so it could be a little overkill for some of you. In that case, I recommend to just replace Body Armor and run Body Armor with a lot of Energy Shield. You can still run normal rings. I'm running one with 49% rarity of items and mana regeneration. And the second ring I run like some resistances together with small parts of the rarity. It's not really good ring, mostly just a basic one that I pick to compensate for my resistances. A very important point here is that as you can see on that ring, I have additional cold damage to attacks. So if you can properly trigger Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, I recommend to roll additional cold damage to attacks on both of your rings. It should help you a lot with freezing, and in general it should be pretty nice. So showcasing my all items, that's pretty much the quarter stuff that I'm currently running. I'm still running the same helmet though. Rarity of items found, together with intelligence, some resistances and a lot of energy shield. Please keep in mind that if you're running Warrior Invictus, you will need a very good helmet with high energy shield and very good boots. Because with Warrior Invictus right now I have only 3400 energy shield, which could be an issue and sometimes it could lead to a harder situation on the maps. However, if you feel like you want to be tankier, running rare body armor can improve the situation significantly, because with rare body armor I have 6354 energy shield, and it's more than enough, because with Green Fist it's going to give me 12,000 of energy shield while mapping, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm still running Hand of Wisdom in action. I definitely recommend it together with some rarity runes in there. Same goes for the boots, just higher movement speed, additional energy shot and some resistances. For the belt, I'm currently running triple resistance belt with some mana on top, because I think mana is pretty nice. And another very important moment, running charm with immunity to freeze is going to help significantly to avoid freezing. So if you're not running that charm, keep in mind that you can go for Icebreaker here and just gain 100% maximum energy shield as additional freeze threshold. However, I'm trying to save 4 points and just running the charm instead right now. And my body armor stays the same together with my amulet. At the amulet, I recommend to allocate Storm Charge together with mana regeneration, additional mana, some rarity, and if you can get like critical hit chance or critical damage bonus, it's going to be even better. So with that setup, you should be pretty tanky and you should feel pretty nice too. However, I want to mention that if you don't have critical hit chance on weapon, instead of critical damage bonus, it's better idea to pick critical hit chance, so you will have about 50% critical hit chance in general. So focusing on the rest, here is my total stats. I think that amount of dexterity is not really mandatory at the current point, so it is possible to exchange some dexterity for intelligence. However, I don't really feel like it's too important, and some additional attack speed from Hand of Wisdom in action feeling pretty good right now. So capped resistances are also mandatory, and if you can get at least 130 mana regeneration from rings, it would be very good to the current setup. Just make sure that you have a dedicated support on both your heralds, so Cold Infusion, Long Shot and Glaciation for Herald of Thunder, and for Herald of Ice, it's Lightning Infusion, Magnified Effect and Conduction. Another interesting moment that I want to mention, that you can roll a dedicated place for Herald, and on your amulet you can roll Doomsayer. It will give 30% increased area of effect and additional damage to your Herald skills. So if you don't run Storm Charge, I think Doomsayer could be a very good idea and it could improve your clear. Another interesting part is that to fix your mana, you can also use Mana Flask with 30% of recovery applied instantly. It could help you in particular situations when you need to get your mana back quickly. And that setup right now should be a very decent option for mapping, because you will have enough rarity to make sure that you're dropping enough currency items. I would say 241 that I currently have is a little overkill, and if you're aiming to drop better items, or if you don't have enough rarity on the rings, amulet or helmet, you can just go for Warrior Invictus as well. So it also can clear just fine, and Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice together will create a chaining reaction, opening the ring for you. So that version should be stronger than the previous one because of the additional ring and more opportunities to roll good stats in there. I'm probably going to experiment a little more with different setups, and we'll do one more update at least later on, when those experiments will lead me to some particular results. But right now, I definitely recommend to play this version, because this version is very strong, viable, and pretty easy to set up. Just make sure that your heralds are set up right, and you have enough cold damage that you can get at rings and even at gloves if you're playing rares as well. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and see you next time. Ronarray out.